Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the Horror Flick Chicks podcast. It's Sonia, Sandra, and Angie here, ready to share our recap of season 4, episode 6 of Only Murders in the Building. So let's get right into it. There was a lot of stuff that happened in this
Oh
episode.
yeah.
First off, the name of the episode is called Blow Up. So if you remember at the end of episode 5, they were at their photo shoot. The trio was at the photo shoot with their cameos, and a shot rang out. They were about to kind of confront the brother sisters,
Yeah.
and a shot rang out. The lights went out.
Right.
So this is starts right after that, right?
Yep.
So we find this, you hear a lot of screaming, and you see Mabel and Charles kind of looking around, freaking out, and on the ground is 3 Olivers, right?
Right.
Three
Three
Olivers,
hours.
and they're trying to figure out, oh my God, what happened? Who was shot? And they turn one of the Olivers over, and it's
Glenn Stubbins.
Glenn Stubbins, right? So Glenn Stubbins, and he got shot, still alive, but he got shot. They turn another Oliver over, and is the Oliver who's playing him in the movie, Zach Galifianakis, right? And he's apparently shot too. And then they turn over the real Oliver, and he's unharmed.
He's fine. Yeah.
Unharmed. But they're freaking out. What's going on? The brothers sisters are not there. They leave the studio.
Yeah.
They're in a cab trying to get back to Arconia. Trying to figure out what to do. In the meantime, Howard is filming them. Howard was filming in the studio, and then in the cab with them filming, right?
Yeah.
This whole episode was kind of film documentary style, like they were filming
Right.
behind the scenes footage of the actors and making the movie and things like that. In the very let me go back a little bit. The very beginning, they showed videos of the brother sisters
Yeah.
talking. Like they recorded
how they started.
they were recording and stuff. It seems like they often do that. So they have a lot of recordings, tapes about themselves, their life, what they're doing, etc. Then they start talking a little bit about their background, like where they started in the movie business,
Right.
in when they were younger, and through school, college, and film school, all that. Seemed, they were always strange, never really got along with anyone, any
Right.
of
They
the
were like
students.
outcasts.
Yeah, very much outcasts. And once they got to their film school and they met their professor, it felt like he got them. He understood them.
He
And
understood their artistry and their weirdness.
yes,
Yeah.
and the line stuck out to me toward the end of that little scene with the professor saying that chaos can be good, chaos can be art. So it kind of ties well. That kind of, when that ended, that's when they showed the kind of aftermath of the shot in the studio and all the chaos that happened, right? So that I thought that was very poignant, because I was thinking, oh, they do seem like they kind of thrive in those types of environments.
Right.
When it's chaotic, when there's things going on, it a little stressful.
Right.
Because even when they were first filming that photo shoot, and they were moving things around, and picking them out and moving them around, and just trying to.
I see. That's another little
weird.
Another little check in your little suspect box for them.
Oh yeah. I mean, they were on my list, right? So
I know.
They definitely are, and they're on everybody's radar now.
Yeah,
throughout this whole episode, they're pretty much pointing their fingers at them and trying to figure out why they did it,
right?
Why they would have done it, why they would have killed Saz, right? So, okay, they're in the cab, they're going back to Arconia, and just trying to figure out what happened, get the clues together, and see if they can figure out an actual reason why they may have killed Saz, what was the motive, etc. Funny note, just to throw it in, because it was only for maybe 30 seconds. Once they get into the Arconia and going into the elevator, they bump into Uma. Uma is one of the
one of the
resident
residents
of
of their
Arconia. And if
home.
you remember in the last seasons, she was always kind of annoyed that they were filming their podcast or
Yeah, like the
recording their
building is
podcast
become
because of
so
things.
like popular. Everybody's always around, and it's given too
Yes,
it's given too much like
attention to the
attention to the building, and it's supposed
and
to be a quiet
yes,
building and whatever.
and she didn't like the fact that they would record the podcast about things that happened where they lived, and she just didn't like it. So she was kind of complaining and saying, "Oh, you're back," and cursing and just being a complainer like she always was. But that was only for 30 seconds. But it was funny that she showed up
Uma,
again.
I love Uma.
Yeah, she was really funny.
Uma is just like that really aggravated neighbor that's always
There's always
in
someone
the
like
rent
Uma.
control apartment.
Yeah.
Doesn't want anything to change.
Yeah.
Very,
Everybody,
very.
if you live in an apartment building, there's somebody like Uma in that building. I promise you.
It's very New York City.
That's true too. Very New York City.
Very New York City.
So they're in the apartment, and again, Howard's there because he's recording them. He's recording everything. So they're bringing in a lot. Like this season, I feel like they're bringing in a lot more people into their kind of group. A lot of more people know about what's going on.
About what's going on. Yeah.
Because usually they kind of
they kind of keep like the big important like discoveries and
details about the whole investigation to themselves
within the trio. They don't usually like go outside of that.
Yeah, so they're like talking. They're talking to each other about what's going on and things that they've found out so far. And Howard's there, so he's in the midst and he knows what's going on. And even last week we saw, I forget his name, but the director of the or the writer of the movie within the show was in on everything.
I don't have my notes for last week. Yes.
And he was in on everything, so he knows who suspects are and who they're looking at and things like that. But so they're in the apartment and trying to figure out things, and why would the brothers sisters kill Saz, and saying all this stuff that Saz told, again repeating that Saz told Bev that something was wrong with the movie and that somebody on the movie set was trying to kill was killing someone, was going to kill someone. Right. They started going into all that. After a little bit of the kind of back and forth and the funny banter, because there's always funny banter with them. Yeah. The detective comes in.
Yeah, Detective Williams comes in.
She comes in. I just love Detective Williams. She's just like always cursing up a storm. She's super New York. I
know. Yeah, for real. Like she don't have time for the bullshit. And I'm just here to say what I gotta say. And if you have something, important to say, fine. But if not,
let's keep it moving. Keep it moving.
I don't have time for this.
She came to kind of give an update on Glenn Stubbins and Zach that got shot.
And she was pissed because she's in love with Zach. And she was like, why you didn't take care of my Zach? Like basically
yeah. So apparently Glenn got shot, and then the bullet ricocheted off of like a metal plate in his head, and the ricochet hit Zach, and he got like a flesh wound. So that's what happened with that. So she kind of came and gave them an update on that. She also gave them another good bit of information. Yeah. The famous Mr. Dudinoff that has the apartment on the west side that Mabel's been what do you call it? Squatting in.
Yeah.
Yes. Apparently he is not in Portugal. He is in New York City because they've discovered that he's been cashing checks at a bodega in
125th
in New York City.
And 125th Street specifically.
He's been cashing checks there. So apparently he's in New York City. So there's like, they have another kind of, so they kind of had him on their radar too, but he was in Portugal, so couldn't really do much. But now that he's in New York City, it kind of makes sense. Like, so it's very possible that he could have something to do with this whole thing. In the meantime, they at some point watch one of the brother sisters' first like college video movies that they made, like student films.
And let me point out before you get to that, that Detective Williams, when she came over and was giving some more details about what happened with the guys, she brought over Saz's remains and gave them to Charles.
Yes, she did.
So Charles now has the remains from the incinerator in the box for him. So.
He took some of them from the incinerator because he had some in the glass.
Yeah, he had taken some.
I'll add it to my.
Now he has all of them.
Now he has the rest. Right. Okay. Go ahead.
Right. That's true. So so the team starts to watch one of the brother sisters college films that they made, very like obscure films. Like,
by the way, Sheepshead Bay Community College. I'm sorry.
It was.
I'm sorry. Wow.
This whole show is very New York City. So if you're from New York City or know anything about New York City, like you would get a kick out of this show.
That's yeah. Sure. That school doesn't exist, but the neighborhood does.
Just, right. Yeah.
Named it after the neighborhood, and
right.
It was just hilarious that they're from Sheepshead Bay, assuming, and that's the very, intricate or whatever prestigious film college they went to. Is Sheepshead Bay.
Sheepshead Bay.
Exactly. Okay, moving on. Sorry.
So anyway, so the film that they made that they're watching is called The Consecration of Alice. I'm not sure exactly what was going on in this film, but it was the brothers sisters playing these women that are like
they said that there was someone that made them out of clay, and they
have like a creator that made them apparently out of clay, and they became these human figures or whatever that they speak, but they are like this creator's like servants, like they're there to serve them and do whatever they're bidding. And so so they're watching this film and they're like, oh, this is crazy, and we're here to do whatever you want, the way they speak in the film. And when
they're speaking, they're speaking to a figure behind the table.
Yeah, it's like
a shadow, and the face is shadow. You can't see who it is.
Right. But once the shadow comes out and he comes out of the shadows, we see, who is it?
What's pink guy. Vince
Fish, the pink guy.
Yeah.
But now his pink eye is on the other.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, first of all, in the movie, he didn't have anything because
he didn't have the patches. Yeah.
He didn't have any of the patches. So when they see this, oh my God, so they go confront him. They got try to see what's going on. And he's like, oh yeah, we saw an interesting film, The Consecration of Alice.
No, wait, they get to the like what Andrew said, they get to the door and he has the patch on the other side and the other eye. Like, and Charles like,
and he said, oh, what is it? Shift?
He said it hops.
It hops.
Like, and he's like, it hops. He looks
because at the last time they showed he actually took it off and he had the pink eye. That was like some gnarly pink eye.
It was pretty bad. Yeah.
It hops.
That's gross.
So they go in and they start kind of talking to him and they say, oh, we saw an interesting film earlier, The Consecration of Alice. He said, oh, I was in that. Like nothing.
Like nothing, right?
It's like, oh yeah. So apparently it seems that all these Westie people that live on the West Side, besides the connection with Dudenoff that they like subleasing the apartments, they all knew him from before, apparently from the college or working on films with him because he's a film professor or was a film professor. So they knew him from there because even the Christmas tree guy, the Christmas everyday guy, was seemed to be an actor that would like play a bit role.
Yeah, and he took lessons and classes.
Yeah. So yeah, he was in that. And
that's some pretty
that's a big yeah.
I didn't even see that coming. And then they started talking about how they met Dudenoff or how they know him. And it's like, yeah, that's how and they just said, oh yeah, that's how we know him.
It's not a big deal. Yeah, they just
film school or college or whatever. I was like, oh, why didn't they say that before?
It's kind of a big deal.
That's kind of weird. I don't know why they didn't say that before. Maybe they didn't think it was going to make a difference, but it kind of seemed like Vince thought that they already knew about the brother sisters connection with
Yeah, it's
Doodle.
possible.
It kind of seemed like he did the way he was talking, but
it's possible.
Yeah, but they were telling them about their connection with him, and he said, and while they're in the west side of the building with Vince and Christmas Everyday Guy, they start talking about this drone that they have.
Yeah.
But they acquired this drone, and Charles is starting to think, oh, maybe we can use the drone to go past the brother sister's apartment where they're staying,
right,
and check to see what's in their case. They have this big kind of like a it's not a briefcase, but it's just a large case.
Charles is saying that it's like a weapon
rifle case,
a rifle case or so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they want to know what's inside. They're thinking there's a gun because of the shots before and people got shot, right? So they try to do it, and of course they fumble it, and the drone, busts into the window
knocks
and
itself out.
Yeah, exactly, basically, and knock itself over. So drone's out of question, out of commission. They I want to. So they're in the building. The brothers sisters are in the building. Bev is there. Like everyone is there now in the apartment, in the building.
In the building, yeah.
I just want to point to kind of, I didn't quote this word for word, but just something kind of funny that I thought. So Bev is talking to everyone and telling everyone, guys, I just wanted you to know that everyone is fine and the filming is going to continue as planned and no need to worry, things like that. And she's even saying about, that she spoke to Zach, and Zach said that the show must go on. Right. And then they kind of shot off to Zach, and he's in the hospital, and he said something, and he said, she called and she threatened me and told me that, I told her that we need to stop production. I'm leaving. And she threatened me. And then she ripped the IV out of my arm and sucked the medicine out
sucked the pain meds out of the bag.
Like a Capri Sun.
Like Capri Sun.
like a fucking Capri Sun. That's what he said.
I thought that was so funny. And then they just went back to Bev and the group.
Bev and her speech, yeah. Yeah, it was funny.
So funny. I had to mention that. But yeah, so she's saying that and everything. The writer's there too, and Mabel's talking to him, and he's saying, and she's kind of saying, oh, don't you think they're a little strange? And talking about the brother sisters, right? They're strange. And he was like, yeah, I mean, they do. I kind of always thought that and all that. And then he's like, do you think they did it? Are they suspects? And he's like, intrigued and I don't, this doesn't seem like he's surprised, but he's kind of like, he is intrigued, and he also like kind of excited about it. Like,
yeah.
But I think that's just the writer part of him, because maybe
it could be
something else,
or it could be the killer part of him.
It could be a part of another screenplay that he writes. Like, who knows? Yeah. So okay. In the meantime, I wrote all these notes. I'm reading. I'm looking at everything, and so they go back. So they back in the they're back in the apartment. I don't remember whose apartment it is, but one of the apartments, Howard's there recording, and he brings Gravy, his dog.
Oh yeah, right? The cadaver dog.
And Gravy's a cadaver dog, if you remember, right, from the previous episode. And the cadaver dog runs into the apartment and knocks over Saz's remains. The cadaver dog. So he smelled that, went right to it, right, knocked it all down. So they're like, oh no, and going down to try and get it. And they see, and remember, Saz had metal joints
right
in her body, so they were in the box as well with the ashes. So they see two, Charles has a left shoulder left shoulder metal part, and Oliver had the same thing. Oliver or Mabel? Oliver.
Both of them. I don't know.
One of them and another one
Yeah.
had the same. Well, I have the left shoulder.
Mabel
I
was
was like, well, I have the one for it's Hungary, right?
In Bulgaria.
Bulgaria.
Yeah.
It's this is the left one is from Bulgaria. And they had another one totally different. There's two metal left shoulders in the bin.
Yeah, one says it in English, the other one says it in Macedonian or whatever.
Right. So they're not both for one person.
Right.
So they start to deduce and say there were two bodies in that incinerator, which I don't know, those investigators or all those people, I don't know how they didn't figure that out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very concerning.
It's very sloppy.
That the police didn't figure it out. The podcast
is real sloppy. But anyway, this is where we are now. There's two metal shoulders in the bin. One is Saz's for sure. The other one is not. Right. So they're freaking out. There were two murders in the building, they say, right? Right. Mabel texts Detective Williams the serial number of the other shoulder to see if she can trace it and find out who it belonged to. In the meantime, they're wholeheartedly believe the brothers sisters did this, so they went to confront them. So they go to their apartment to confront them and say, where were you the night Saz was killed? And they start asking them questions, and they really think that they're behind it, and they're kind of grilling them and everything. And then they find out Mabel gets a text back with the results. Detective Williams found out who it belonged to. The shoulder belonged to Dudinoff. Yes. So Dudinoff is dead now? I thought he was at the bodega.
Yeah.
Well, I will just say that you may recall that what's the pink eye guy's name again? Vince and a Christmas Every Day guy were very confused when they were talking about how Dudinoff was,
because they told them that Dudinoff was in New York City,
not in Portugal.
He was in New York. Yeah, and they're like, well, what do you mean? What do you mean? No, he's not. No, he's not, because he would have told us.
He would have told us, right?
And they just said that. I think the Christmas Every Day guy just said that it seemed to be like as a cover up.
Yeah, he gave a look like to the side, kind of.
So that tells me.
I didn't think about that. Yeah, that's true.
That tells me that those two are definitely up to no good, and maybe they have something to do with Dudinoff's death.
Oh yeah. If he's really dead, then yes, I can see that.
Yeah,
they have something to do, because remember that they've been paying him rent all these years to keep their rent low. Maybe at some point, I don't know, in New York, you would kill to keep your rent.
Yeah.
You literally kill.
That's
to
true.
Keep your rent low.
That's true.
If this is the motive for all of this, it's brilliant.
It's brilliant. In New York, it's brilliant. Also, gives a lot of people some ideas here. I'm just saying.
I know.
I'm just saying. We New Yorkers really despise landlords and management systems and all of this. I'm not saying, listen, if somebody in my management system gets killed, it's not me. Anyway, moving on. Moving on. I'm just saying this is a great segue to now realizing that Dudinoff has not been in Portugal. He's been dead this entire time. So how long has he been dead? Who done it? Was it was it those two? It seems like it. Was it a combination of all of the neighbors?
Yeah. Right.
And what was that meat that they were eating?
Oh,
is this a Sweeney Todd?
Not sending it, then what is
this a Sweeney Todd episode series? Ooh, meat pies. They're eating the ham from Italy. Okay. So I'm just putting it out there that these are my
that's not a bad those are not bad theories.
That's a good theory. I like that.
let's point out also that while we're discovering all this stuff about Dudanoff, Dudanoff was the professor in the video
Right.
that the brother sister shot.
Right.
That guy in the beginning, he's Dudanoff.
Yeah.
So now we know who, like, what he looks like,
We know, yeah.
right? And like that's crazy. I didn't see that coming.
Yeah.
I don't know. I have I have some theories on suspects again.
Well, we should also say too that at the very end, we find out that somebody's been basically stalking our trio.
Yes.
Everybody, so the brother sisters apparently have put cameras all around the building in each of their apartments.
And we see that. And I questioned it in the middle because we know Howard was recording them, but there was some parts where Howard wasn't recording them,
and there was still a camera.
Howard wasn't even in the room, and they were still being recorded, and it looked like from a shelf or like a corner
behind a plant,
when no one really stands toward you.
I assumed that was odd. I assumed it was the brother sisters because they showed them a lot filming, so I thought it was them because they were saying how they like to shoot a lot of behind the scenes and kind of stuff. So I assumed it was them, but we find out yes, it was them. They put cameras all over the place, all in their apartments.
All over the place, and Charlie's like, isn't that
it's like illegal and
and they're like, no, actually it's not because you signed up for this, basically.
So they signed whatever the contract is that
their rights
probably said in very small print, we have the right to put cameras
exactly. But we find out at the end that somebody has been basically stalking them, and they were getting texts from Saz's phone.
Yeah. Well, Oliver, or was it Oliver? Oliver, I think, found the camera, and I found another camera in the apartment, and they're like, the sisters are like, well, that's not, we don't use those type of cameras. That's not ours. And they're like, it's not yours. And then they get a text.
Yeah.
Charles gets a text, like a video of him in his apartment with a bullseye on his face. Oliver gets basically the same kind of video, and then Mabel gets the same kind of video, all coming from Saz's phone. And then they all get a text that says, I'm watching you.
I always feel like somebody's watching me. Yeah.
I don't know. That was the end. I don't know. I mean, we don't know what's gonna happen. I'm for right now, I'm kind of steering away from the brother sisters because
I think they kind of the suspiciousness kind of went a little bit away from. They're still on the suspect list.
Yeah, but
like high on the suspect list, but I think they went down a little bit.
Yeah, I agree. And
I have a feeling they're just weirdo filmmakers.
Yeah, it's probably. They seem to be really upset to find out that Dudanoff was possibly dead.
Right.
Yeah, because that was their mentor, and they were.
Yeah, so it's kind. So I don't know. I'm not sure about them, although they're still on the list, but they moved down a few notches. Personally, I still think that it could be the writer.
Yeah, so do I.
Because he's way too. First of all, he's way too much in the background. Like he's just trying to watch. Everything, and he's a writer. Like he wants to.
He could be. He wants
totally this to happen, so he can write it for his next.
He could be totally just setting all this up to make more content for like his movies.
Yeah.
Yeah. He could totally be doing that.
Yeah, totally. And I also think that possibly could be some of the Westies because they didn't say anything about. They talked about Dudanoff all this time, but they never said that they knew him from the movies and school, right? From college. So they didn't talk about that. That was suspicious. And the whole thing with, like you said, Angie, Christmas Every Day, I had that look when they talked about, when they said, oh, he's in New York, he can't be, he didn't tell us. But he had a weird look, like they knew he was there. So why are you lying?
Right.
Yeah.
right? That's
Next thing we have to find out is who's been cashing those checks at the bodega. That's what I want to know.
yeah, yeah.
Because if
Oh,
Dudenoff is really dead,
no,
somebody else has been taking his checks and cashing them.
I think it's those two.
It could be them. It
I
could
mean,
be
it
those.
could be
One of those
one of
residents,
in that
one of
Or
those
it could be,
residents.
yeah.
it could
it
be
could
it's
be one of
somebody in
them.
that West Side building, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there was like
That's
so
what I
much.
think too, but who knows?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there was so much that happened in this episode, guys. We're getting towards the end because there's only a few more episodes left
Yeah.
of the season. So now we're getting to like the nitty-gritty and things are really starting to come out.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see what happens next week.
I know.
Like always, we're going to be back next week recapping the next episode of Only Murders in the Building. This is the Horror Flick Chicks podcast. You can find it here on our YouTube channel, the Horror Flick Chicks. And we are also on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Threads. And you can catch the Horror Flick Chicks podcast also on several audio platforms. So make sure you check us out there. Make sure you like and subscribe here on YouTube. And you'll know when our new videos pop up, you'll know first when they come up. Guys,
And let us know who your suspicious list is.
yeah, please
Yeah. We'd
add
love to
to
hear your
ours.
suspicious
If you
list.
have new people that you think are on the list, add it on.
theories, new
If you
people, yeah.
have if you agree with us, then you add it on. If you don't agree with us, you let us know. We want to hear it all.
Meat
Love
pies.
this show. I hope you guys love it
Meat
too.
pie. They're making meat pies.
That's a great theory. I didn't even think that. I'm blown away. I'm blown away.
Dudenoff pies.
Doing the
Thank
pies.
you. Have I been watching enough horror for you?
Oh, and really quick, there was some horror references in this that I want to point out. Detective Williams said Freddy, Chucky, Jigsaw, and then Howard towards the end said Puppet Master. Like, there's some Puppet Master going on.
Yeah.
So I wanted to point that out because I know some people don't think this is a horror show, but they talk about it. So there
they do.
you go. Until next time, guys, we're Sonia, Sandra, Andrew signing out. Horror Flick Chicks.
Peace.
That's the end.